Socrates. Socrates changed philosophy forever, not by writing books, but by asking questions. He wandered through Athens, engaging anyone who would listen, using dialogue to challenge assumptions and expose ignorance. His method, now called the Socratic method, was simple. Keep asking why until the truth reveals itself. Socrates believed that wisdom begins with recognizing your own ignorance. He focused on ethics, what it means to live a good and virtuous life, rather than on the nature of the cosmos. But his questions angered the Athenian elite. He was accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. Rather than flee, he accepted his death sentence and drank poisoned hemlock. Socrates became a martyr for truth and integrity. His courage inspired countless others to think for themselves, including his most famous student, Plato. Plato took Socrates' ideas and turned them into a vast philosophical system. He founded the Academy, the first institution of higher learning in the Western world. Plato believed that the world we see is only a shadow of a higher, perfect reality, the world of forms. Everything we experience, beauty, justice, love, is just an imperfect reflection of its ideal form. In his dialogue, The Republic, Plato explored justice, the structure of society, and the ideal ruler, the philosopher king, a leader guided by wisdom instead of greed. He also proposed that the soul is eternal and that learning is actually remembering truths it already knows. Plato's influence is immeasurable. His ideas shaped theology, science, and education for over 2,000 years. He gave the West its vision of truth, virtue, and the search for higher reality. Aristotle, Plato's student, rejected his teacher's theory of abstract forms and focused instead on observation and logic. He believed that true knowledge comes from studying the natural world directly. He founded his own school, the Lyceum, where he taught logic, biology, ethics, politics, and even the arts. Aristotle developed the concept of causality, that everything happens for a reason, and introduced the idea of teleology, meaning that every being has a purpose or goal. He viewed virtue as the golden mean, a balance between extremes. Courage, for example, lies between cowardice and recklessness. Aristotle's influence extended beyond philosophy. His works became the foundation of medieval science and were studied for centuries in both Europe and the Islamic world. He taught Alexander the Great, whose conquests spread Greek ideas across continents, making Aristotle's influence truly global. Pythagoras of Samos. Pythagoras was not just a mathematician, he was a mystic, a teacher, and the founder of a secretive philosophical brotherhood. He believed that numbers were the ultimate reality, that everything, from music to the stars, followed mathematical harmony. His discovery that musical notes followed numerical ratios shaped both music theory and metaphysics. To Pythagoras, numbers weren't just tools, they were sacred symbols revealing the divine structure of the cosmos. He and his followers also believed in reincarnation, that the soul is immortal and passes through many lives until it achieves purity. The Pythagoreans lived by strict rules, vegetarian diets, silence, and devotion to study. Even though the famous Pythagorean theorem is just one part of his legacy, Pythagoras' real achievement was linking mathematics, philosophy, and spirituality into one unified vision of the universe. Thales of Miletus. Thales is often called the first true philosopher in Western history, the man who shifted human thought from myth to reason. Living in the Greek city of Miletus, he asked a simple but revolutionary question: what is everything made of? Instead of blaming gods for natural events, Thales looked for rational explanations. He believed that water was the fundamental substance of the universe, everything came from it and returned to it. Though we know this isn't scientifically accurate today, his method was groundbreaking. He was among the first to study geometry, predict eclipses, and use observation as a tool of knowledge. Thales' real contribution wasn't his conclusions, it was the way he thought. He showed that the universe could be understood through logic, not legend, and that was the birth of philosophy itself. Heraclitus of Ephesus. Heraclitus was a solitary thinker who believed that change was the only constant in the universe. He observed the world around him and concluded that everything is in motion. You cannot step into the same river twice. To Heraclitus, reality was like a fire, always burning, always transforming. Yet beneath this endless flux he saw an invisible order, the Logos, a universal reason that keeps everything balanced. He also believed that opposites define each other. There is no day without night, no life without death, no peace without conflict. His philosophy suggested that the world's harmony comes from tension, not perfection. Though his writings survive only in fragments, Heraclitus inspired generations of thinkers, including the Stoics, who later built their entire philosophy on his idea of the Logos. Epicurus. Epicurus believed that the goal of life is happiness, but not in the form of luxury or indulgence. For him, true happiness meant peace of mind, freedom from pain, fear, and unnecessary desire. He taught that the universe is made of atoms moving in empty space, and that there are no divine punishments or afterlife to fear. This was a bold idea for his time. Epicurus advised people to live simply, cherish friendship, and find joy in modest pleasures. His school, known as the Garden, welcomed both men and women, something rare in ancient Greece. He saw philosophy not as theory, but as therapy for the soul, a way to achieve lasting contentment by understanding the nature of the world and mastering our emotions. Epicurus denied divine control in the afterlife. He said the gods might exist, but they don't interfere with humans. This was considered blasphemous in his time, and even dangerous later when Christian and Roman thinkers saw his views as atheist or immoral. Church fathers like Augustine and Cicero heavily criticized him, and his philosophy was almost erased for centuries. It wasn't until the Renaissance that scholars rediscovered his writings and began realizing how deeply misunderstood he was. Though often misjudged as a preacher of indulgence, Epicurus truly taught the art of calm and balance, a timeless reminder that peace of mind is the greatest form of happiness. Zeno of Citium. Zeno founded Stoicism, one of the most practical and enduring philosophies ever created. After losing everything in a shipwreck, he began teaching in Athens under a painted porch called the Stoa Poikile, hence the name Stoic. He taught that we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. The Stoic ideal is to live in harmony with nature and reason, showing virtue, self-discipline, and resilience in all situations. For Zeno, emotions like anger and fear are judgments. If we change how we think, we change how we feel. His philosophy spread through the Roman world, influencing great figures like Seneca, Epictetus, and Emperor Marcus Aurelius. Even today, Stoicism is a guiding philosophy for people seeking strength, peace, and clarity in a chaotic world. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.